Welcome, everybody. So, today we're going to be talking about project management. We have a few different companies with different styles of deployments, which is very exciting because hopefully it means that we'll have different things relevant to different people in the room. My name is Victoria. I am a customer advocacy manager here at Zoho. Before we jump in, I want to get an idea of who we have in the room. Can you please raise your hand if you are a project manager at your company? Okay. And how many of you have already implemented project management tools and are looking to kind of improve those systems? Excellent. And then how many people are looking to implement a project management system? Great. Really good spread. So we'll try and make sure to cover a lot of our bases there. So, just to introduce our panelists, we have two members of Garda World. We have Connor England, who's a software and database manager, and Ann Mitchell, who is a CPA and also the National Director of Finance and Shared Services. And then we have Yafi, who is the User Experience Manager at RJG, and Tony, who is the Director of Operations at SC Datacom. Now that I've introduced them all, I'm going to have them all introduce themselves as well. So I'll have each of you introduce yourself, a little bit about your role and your history with Zoho. So Connor, would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Connor. I'm the software and database manager at Garda. My role is developing and maintaining internal business systems for our company. So my customers are the other employees at Garda. And I've been working with Zoho for 8 months since I started to work at Garda.
Amazing. And
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ann Mitchell, and I work for Galda World as well. I work with Connor. I'm a certified professional accountant and the National Director of Finance and Shared Services for Galda. And just to give a overview of what our company does, if you want to maybe see if that calls out to your companies, we do electronic security systems where we do the installation, the sale, the installation, and the maintenance of those systems for residential, commercial, and large businesses.
Yafi?
Hey there, everybody. My name's Yafi. I'm a user experience manager at RJG. We have training and technology in the plastic injection molding space. So we don't actually mold anything, but help molders reduce waste and make high quality parts. We implemented Zoho 1 in 2019. So we've been on Zoho for 6 years, started with CRM and help desk, and have grown into using 22 different apps, including sprints and projects.
Good morning. Tony Damon, Director of Operations for SC Datacom. So our company does security integration for access control, physical systems, security systems, intrusion detection, and video surveillance. So we do the installation as well as the integration into other systems and platforms for commercial businesses. We've been using Zoho for about 4 years now. We start with Zoho CRM as well, and then migrate over to the Zoho One platform as well.
Amazing. And I want to make sure to hear a little bit about what the actual structure of your project management system looks like. So, could you talk through what the core operational challenges you were looking to solve were, and then how you built out your project management system to do so? And Tony, if you want to get us started with that.
Yeah, so we started with the core challenges that we had was just the interdepartment communications between, and also understanding what the project updates from our project managers and the technicians in the field. So we've implemented Zoho projects in order to capture that information, pass that information down to the techs, and also brief the executives on the status of the projects, as well as our customers who want to know when the project is going to end, when the project is going to start, as well as what are the tasks that have been completed. So that helps us with our quality assurance, quality control aspect of it, to make sure that we meet all contract obligations.
Amazing. Then Yafi, can I hear a little bit about yours? I know that you were deeply involved kind of across various iterations.
Yeah, absolutely. So our challenges at the time before Zoho were a lot, but from a project management standpoint, each team or department had their own project management software. So we were using Monday and Asana and Trello and the dreaded spreadsheet. So it was just a nightmare to have all of those licenses from a financial standpoint, but then the, you know, not being able to collaborate on one system and having to learn multiple systems was a challenge. And onboarding new people is a nightmare when you have 5 different project management systems. So having a unified system that everybody is on is amazing, and really helped us. And then it connects to all of our other applications. So it's good to have project management systems in the Zoho One ecosystem, because it all talks and integrates to one another, which, helps us with our efficiency, helps us with our collaboration, helps us with transparency and accountability and keeping everybody on the same page. And when that happens, you can really give your customer a better experience. So that Zoho One platform with project management, helps us give a better customer experience, and in turn, make more money faster. So, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And then, Connor and Ann, I know you have a slightly different history with the project management setup with Zoho in general. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what the deployment currently looks like. And I know you came into the deployment when it was already being worked on. So what was the experience like of looking at how that system is set up, and how it kind of connects to those processes as it is?
So we also, I'd like to echo what Tony and Nofi were saying. We had the same challenges, and we were looking for the same fix with Zoho projects. So we too are on Zoho One. We utilize over 30 applications of Zoho and been on Zoho since 2017. The need for Zoho projects was to bring together unify the team east and west on one same platform, so we could be using the same tools, and that will facilitate the management of the cost on the jobs and the delivery on the jobs. It also provides visibility for upper management or finance to be able to track the progression of the jobs in order for us to be able to determine and establish what the work in progress is like at that point in time and what the backlog is like. Do we have enough manpower to deliver whatever we have in the backlog within the SLA we commit to our customers? And so for us, projects is a tool that allows us on a management perspective to be able to manage our work in progress, our backlog, and monitor the commitment of delivery to our customers. For the more technical aspect, I mean, for the flow, it was important also to unify the flow within the company. And so every time a proposal is created in a tool that we created internally with Creator, every time there's a proposal that's created for a commercial job, it will in turn create a project within Zoho Projects. And from there, we could track the evolution of the delivery of that project. And that connects to books afterwards. If I want to manage the backlog or the work in progress, we do through SQL and an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, can I comment on that real quick? So
Absolutely.
that was super technical, which is great. The cool thing about Zoho projects is that you can use it in its basic form and basic project management, and then get to that really technical place where it's automating things for you and doing things for you. So it's cool because it's simple enough to use out of the box, but then you can expand it to meet your needs by customizing it with various integrations within the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's great. I know one of the things we're going to talk about is bringing disparate teams into one kind of centralized place. So I think that's such a key part of making that actually work. Connor, I'd love to hear a little bit about it because, being in the same company but a different team as Anne, I'm sure you have a different experience when it comes to project management and what you're looking for, or what your needs are there.
Yeah, absolutely. The projects Anne's referring to are technician projects, and she's exactly right. It's being able to consolidate all that data in one place, and know it's there, and then have parity amongst all the different teams, branches, and regions. So a technician on the East Coast is saving the same information, following the same steps and protocols as a technician on the West Coast. So when they go to do check that data for the financial reports and everything, they're all there. We also do use projects in the software development team, We often will get requests that end up being quite large projects, and there's several stages. And the first stage is the developers never really see anything. It's when we're defining if we want to do it, what the actual ask is, if there's an integrated way to do it so that it's not development isn't required, that development is required. Do we have the resources and the time to start doing it now? And we track all of that. We also track all of our incoming bugs in we call like enhancements or quick win requests, where it's not a project. It's adding a new field to a form that exists. It's something new, but it's a very, very small piece of work, so that we can get sort of a snapshot of what our team is working on right now. So our managers know in Zoho sprints, it's much more of a development perspective view. So we have those two communicating with each other all the time so that the management can see what's being worked on, what the status of a project is, how close it is to completion, and our development team can see what we're working on today and for the next couple weeks.
Amazing. And as far as those feature requests go, I know that with project management, there's always a major struggle to get people using it and to make sure that it's actually working for people. Is there anything else as far as how you are making sure that the system really works? Feature requests are obviously a big one, but other ways that you make sure that your system is functioning properly for the people using it?
Yeah, well, within our different systems, we have automated functions that check for errors. We validate that the data coming in and out is working well, which is a good way. We have different methods for people to submit feedback. Either something's not working the way we expect it, or we need help. And then also at the end of a large project, there's always a user training, acceptance, and adoption process where we make sure we've documented how the new flows work, the new functions and features, and then how they can do that. We communicate it to team leaders, to training people and coordinators so that it can be passed down. The interesting thing in our environment is our development team is purely English speaking, but we have a Garda World obviously is based out of Quebec, and there's a big French speaking population. So we have on our projects team, which sort of parallel to my development team, we have a French speaking coordinator who helps do the translation and manage those communications as well, which is huge for the French team because sometimes it's obviously easier to get things in your native language.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's you have such an interesting issue there with the not just a team-based thing you're trying to unify, but geographic as well. Um, on kind of the team-based section, Yafi, on the same kind of topic, I'd love if you could speak a little bit to your process when it comes to gathering feedback and working with other members of your company to build out processes that really work for people.
Yeah, I think it starts at the top. Um, if management is using Zoho projects or Zoho sprints, everything goes below that. And, leaders set examples on how to use our systems. And, we also have Zoho projects training. So anybody new coming into the company can understand what our applications are and how we use them. I think what's really cool, we're all in technical fields here. We don't have project managers at our company. Individual directors, managers, or individual contributors manage their projects in sprints or Zoho projects, and they don't necessarily have management experience and can use the application and manage their projects after a quick hour training. So it's just cool to be able to see non-project managers be able to use these applications and successfully create their projects and get work done and collaborate with everybody. I think that's just really important aspect of Zoho, is that it's simple for non-project managers to use, but then man, it's got so much power and horsepower behind it that you can do whatever you need to do to get business done.
Yeah, speaking to kind of what you were mentioning earlier about making sure that you not only can build things out of the box, offer things to people as tools, but then extend them to actually fit your business.
Yeah, and then it's, what are your needs? Do you have a waterfall project? Use projects. If you have something with a lot of unknowns, use sprints. So the diversity of the methodologies that you're able to utilize, and you can even go hybrid, to able to utilize within the system is really awesome and beneficial.
Amazing. And then Tony, I know that you also have put together not just projects for the project management, but also connecting it to other parts of your processes within your company. And I'd love to hear about just how you've been able to use projects to connect teams that might otherwise be siloed.
Yeah, so with our organization, you'll have your sales department, you have your engineers, you'll have your inventory department. So with the use of Zoho One, we're able to implement have all those different departments talk over through Zoho One and utilize projects to integrate some of that information. So if a technician's out, using a credit card, putting an expense in, that expense goes on to the project. Once the expense goes on to the project, then our accounting team can see that expense and use project estimation or project cost to determine what the actual true cost of that project is. Inventory can see when a project needs additional inventory. But yes, we pretty much use our projects and the whole Zoho One platform to integrate and have all those different departments communicate to each other. And it has I concur that it has to start with the executive team to be able to implement it, to keep it folks accountable for it in order to implement and use it a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, yeah, I think that that connection on that kind of technical level is very key. And especially one of the big things that always comes up is how you get people actually using project management tools. Maybe there's someone in this room who handed a project management tool to their team and they all just picked it up right away. No problems, no complaints. But I have not met you, so come talk to me after if that's you. So I'd love to hear a little bit about like how you all get people to use the tool. What does that mindset look like as you're trying to make sure that people are picking it up? It's getting you the numbers you need. It's tracking through the business.
I could speak to that. We're right in the middle of the implementation of Soho projects, and the adoption rate at first was not very good. And I don't think it was ill intended. It was just the way we communicated the informations to the team at the time of the deployment. We, as leaders of this change, should have been more open in or more fluent in the communication and transparent of what the impacts were on the reporting side of the business, but also all the impacts for efficiency gains that they could get on their end. So they weren't seeing that at first, and we didn't make it crystal clear to them, and we didn't accompany them as we should. So if I had to redo this, I would change the approach totally and just have them on board with us at the beginning and show them to be able to demonstrate all the efficiency gains they could get from that and all the benefits they have of being on this one platform throughout the country and having all the specific information to one job residing in one area. And that's tremendous. That's tremendous. Is if somebody's on vacation, somebody's not there, it's not on their computer, on an Excel spreadsheet, they know exactly where they are, how much they spent on the job. It gives them so much more control and accountability on how they deliver their jobs, and it impacts their performance and how we see their performance. And I think if we had to redo it, I would just make sure I would communicate that better just to get a better adoption rate at the beginning.
Amazing. I love when you answer my next questions before I get to them. I have a follow-up question on that for you, and which is you were coming into this very much from the place of seeing the numbers, the tracking, the benefits of the end result. What does it look like when you're trying to communicate that downstream to make sure that, like you just mentioned, people understand the value and they understand why they're kind of inputting numbers the way that they
Well,
are?
a very specific example was I remember at month end, I would pick up the phone or somebody from my team would pick up the phone and would be calling up the coordinators in Montreal, the coordinators in Quit. Where are you at with this job? How much completion have you done? Because I need to do the entries at the end of the month to recognize either revenue or take the costs out of my P&L if I haven't invoiced the customer. So, and we're talking like hundreds of jobs a month. You could just imagine the volume of work that is. And every month, picking up the phone, sorting out the bigger jobs, calling out the coordinators in Montreal, Quebec, Central, Western, where are you at? Where are you at? Where are you at? And it's always like, when they tell you 80%. Oh, Oh, but you were at 90 last month. What happened? You know? Oh, I'm sorry, 90, 95. You know, they're busy. They have other things to do. And now they see the benefit because everything is automatic. Everything is entered into projects and such that I don't call them anymore. My team don't call them anymore. They just go through projects, they pull the information. We know exactly where you're at. We know how many hours are on the job. We know what the material was expensed on the job. We might give a call to make sure like the bigger jobs, but that's like 5 calls instead of like 200 calls in a month. So just that specifically how more efficient we are and how less bothering we are to the operations team as well. So just that is a seller, just that.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting less calls is a good seller for anyone.
Less calls from finance. That's what operations wants.
Um, awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's such it's kind of the opposite perspective of the same thing when it comes to, Yafi and Tony, you two are on the ground when it comes to developing those systems and then passing them up and down. So I'd like to also kind of throw the question to you two about how the process goes of creating a system that people will use and that you can use to report upwards.
Yeah, so for us, we had to kind of customize what our Zoho projects looks like, and have the questions and have the data that we were trying to get from the project managers and the technicians. So as we customize that, it'll customize those reports and customize that information. We're able to gather that, like you said, and so I don't have to make those million calls. I could just look on Zoho projects and pull that information exactly. When are you going to invoice? When is that project going to be done, how much expenses and how much the actual cost is. So that's what we had to do, was customize it and get feedback from our technicians and get feedback all the way up from our executives, what they want to see and what kind of reports needs to be made. And we're able to make those reports with the projects.
I I want to add to that just 1 second is that you also see like the estimated, like what was sold. So the estimated costs that you expected and the actual. So as a operations manager, how important is that information in one place where you could see like I was supposed to make 30% margin on this job and my God, like I'm at 50% done and my margin dropped. I'm at 25. There's an action plan that needs to be put in place right now. There are flags that could be put in place. You have such more visibility as an operation manager, as in finance with this tool. The benefits are incredible.
Nice. That's okay. That's great. We were fortunate enough to implement OKRs a few years ago, objectives and key results. If you're not familiar with that, John Doerr wrote a book called Measure What Matters. And it's all about, it's goals and metrics essentially. But what it does is that you can cascade your objectives at a strategic level all the way down to the individual level. So it goes department, then it goes team, then it goes individual. So when we have our objectives in Zoho projects, that cascades down to what happens at the department level, whether it's HR or quality or whatever. And they have objectives to move the top level objectives forward so the company can move forward strategically. So all of that is cascaded down in Zoho projects. And so the management team can, if they want to micromanage, no, if they, if they want to see what's going on, they really can see and cascade down through Zoho projects and what's happening. And what's cool about that is if there's a significant lapse in time or we're not going to hit a deadline, management can problem solve or help individual team members by clearing roadblocks or whatever they need to do to make sure from a strategic level that we are hitting what our objectives are, making sure we hit our key results. So we kind of implemented that in Zoho projects in a way. And I know that in sprints now you can do that natively within sprints, have your objectives and key results relate to the stories and tasks and bugs that you're working on from a team perspective.
Yeah, some call it micromanaging, some call it visibility.
Yes,
So
visibility.
whatever works. Yeah, on kind of that same topic, I know that this is also true for this is true for a couple of you, but Connor, you mentioned that you're all using Zoho projects in some ways, and you're also using sprints for some development. And I think that kind of speaks to having different project management tools and methodologies available for different teams. Can you speak a little bit to that decision?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the development side, we use sprints, and in sprints, we have the scope of the scope of the individual tasks. A lot of the work items. I guess the work items all build out to a project, and that's what the developers need to see. There'll be dependencies. Work item A, B, and C needs to be done before D, E, and F can be completed, and that's the information the developers need. They need to know what they're doing, where they're doing it, what the timelines and priorities are, so that when we're building our sprints every 2 weeks, we can know that we've grabbed the correct body of work that is most important and impactful to the business. Whereas from a management perspective, they're more interested in timelines, progress, and blocks and things like that. And then just overall what body of work there is. So we're looking at resources or contractors. We can see, okay, we have 100 bugs that are currently logged. We have 150 enhancement requests, and we have a couple dozen projects that are already logged in. And over the next year or so, we want to develop out. And that's when we can really make those decisions from a higher level and make the right decisions at the development level as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Yafi, I know that you run in kind of a similar setup there. If you want to speak a little bit to just that same kind of decision making.
Yeah, I have a small user experience team of designers, and we sprint every week. We have short sprints, and yeah, it helps us. It's a Kanban board, and it helps us prioritize our work and make sure we're all on the same page, and we're moving our projects forward that are related to other projects that may be in Zoho projects, or taking our work and handing it off to our development team and getting it developed. So yeah, we love sprints. It's easy to use. It prioritizes our work, and makes us more efficient.
Amazing. And then, Tony and Ann, I'm gonna have two different teams that I want to get perspective on. So Tony, I know that specifically a lot of the projects setup is tied in with apps that different teams are using. And so even though not all of them are specifically project management tools, people are working within individual apps and still maintaining that visibility. Can you speak a little bit to how a couple of other teams gain information or efficiency from projects, even if they're not working within projects itself?
So we can use the CRM module to create projects. We can create tasks in the Zoho Desk module. We can implement payroll in the Zoho People module, and even in books, you can actually start logging your time as well, which you'll see what the project expenses are in Zoho Books as well. So through the Zoho One migration integration platform, we're able to see and utilize aspects of project into different modules, and be able to use that for our staff.
Yeah, and there are a couple of different teams interfacing with some of that information as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. The that kind of visibility is in that context so related to the kind of on the ground work. And I would also love to hear from your perspective. Finance loves visibility. So what are a couple of the things that you're looking for when it comes to making sure that you know where projects are at and you can see what you need to see?
Yeah, as I touched a bit on, I'm looking to make sure that not necessarily only related to finance, but the good standing of the company. So I want to make sure our results are accurate. And for them to be accurate, I need to be able to measure the progression of the jobs, as I mentioned. But I also think that it's a customer facing experience as well. So I want to manage like it's all things attrition as well. So if we don't serve a customer right and we lose a customer, it has a financial impact too. So people think of finance as being just finance, but each department has an impact of our financial results. And so I like to see what the backlog is like, how we delivering to our customers, what's the quality of our sales team, or our installation team, if I'm always ending up closing a job at lower margins that were expected, is it a sales issue? Is it a training issue for it's very technical. Like security is very technical. So it's not given to a sales rep just to start his job and know exactly like all the technologies that are available to offer a security solution to customers. And so do they need training? There's so much you could see from projects and just not just the numbers that affect finance. So training issue related, performance related are when I have multiple jobs that are finalizing and that we're closing that are under margin, is it always the same technician? Is it always the same representative, sales representative? And so are our prices too low? You could see so much just in looking at what you see in projects, and that has a huge impact on how we deliver our results to the owners and to all stakeholders of the company who are incentivized oftentimes on the result of their department. So it's such an important tool for us in finance, but for the whole organization.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many teams that end up touching these things. Sales, support, project management, but I think, like you said, rightfully, it all goes back to the customer, making sure that the customer is happy and served.
Exactly.
So a question that I'm going to have each of you answer is, I would love to hear if you have any advice when it comes to rolling out either a new project management system or rolling out new features or processes in a project management system.
I would say build for the user. Sometimes, especially the development team, I'm not the technician that's going to be in there. I'm not the coordinator. I'm not the managers who look at insights. So I shouldn't be building the tool what I would want to see, but how they're actually going to use it. And that's the most important thing, because if the tool takes more time, is difficult to understand the value proposition behind it or the problems that the tool's going to solve, they're not going to want to use it. They're going to push against it. User acceptance and adoption is going to take a nosedive, and that'd be the biggest thing.
Like I said, communicate more and communicate the benefits and the advantages of using projects as a team and what's in it for them. I think if I was to be redone, like you don't know what you don't know. It was difficult for me to try and explain the benefits and advantages because I hadn't used it before, and I'm a new Zoho user. And so maybe seek advice of other people. Like this is a perfect setup to ask people. Like we're looking into field service management right now, so I'm good. We're connecting with everybody we can to know like what the benefits are. And when we go to the decision to implement it, we'll have a better idea and we'll be communicating better and being able to explain what the benefits are for the user and what's in it for them. And that's what we lacked on this one. And I won't make that same mistake when we implement another module.
Yeah, nice. I think training is important, but understanding the Zoho user's needs, as Connor was saying, and what type of project management style is needed for the job. But training and reinforcement training, and we when we originally implemented Zoho, we had a team of people from every department, a person from every department understanding department needs. So they are responsible for if a new feature comes out in a certain tool that we're using, that they get together with the other team members and see what the value it brings, and then integrate that into sort of reinforcement training. So it's really about a learning mindset with not only business, but with Zoho, and trying to stay on top of emerging trends in technology. Everything is happening so fast, and AI is going to help augment our intelligence and augment the applications that we're using so we become more efficient. So I think it's also a cultural thing within a company as well. If you have a company if your company is investing in your people, and their education and their advancement in professional development, that really helps in the scope of making sure that or ensuring that people are using the tools, using them correctly, using the new features, and making sure that it fits their needs so they can optimize and grow their business.
Thanks. I would say for starting to get use of Zoho projects, you have to have that employee buy-in. Without that, you're not going to be able to be successful to implement and push it down to the users. Find those employees that are the influencers, that influence other employees or has that power, that you can make sure that they are on board with Zoho projects and that they understand it. You give them the training, you make sure they can know what the features and the capabilities are, and then they're able to kind of grow that out into the other employees. So buy-in will be the number one thing to make sure you have.
Thank you all.